Resolution 9, on which the ayes and nays...
Don't tell me this is about consistency. Don't tell me that this is about a condemnation of anti-Semitic remarks when you have a member of the Republican caucus who has talked about Jewish space lasers and an entire amount of tropes and also elevated her to some of the highest committee assignments in this body. This is about targeting women of color in the United States of America. Don't tell me, because I didn't get a single apology when my life was threatened.
The representative can say whatever the heck she wants, but we don't have to accept it or embrace it. Individuals who hold such hateful views should rightly be barred from that type of committee.
This institution is better because of her leadership, and the Foreign Affairs Committee benefits from her perspective. So let's talk about what's really happening. Republicans are waging a blatantly Islamophobic and racist attack on Congresswoman Omar. And I've said it before, I will say it again. The white supremacy happening is unbelievable. This is despicable.
We're not removing her from other committees. We just do not believe when it comes to foreign affairs, especially the responsibility of that position around the world with the comments that you make.
The 9-year-old me would be disappointed if I didn't talk about the victims of conflict, those that are experiencing unjust wars, atrocities, ethnic cleansing, occupation, or displacement like I did. They are looking to the international community and the United States, asking for help. They look to us because the international community and the United States profess the values of protecting human rights and upholding international law. So we owe it to them not to make this a myth, but a reality. I didn't come to Congress to be silent. I came to Congress to be their voice. And my leadership and voice will not be diminished if I am not on this committee for one term. My voice will get louder and stronger, and my leadership will be celebrated around the world as it has been. So take your vote or not. I am here to stay, and I am here to be a voice against harms around the world and advocate for a better world. I yield back.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those in favor say no. No. It's the opinion of the chair that the ayes have it and the resolution is agreed to, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield 2 minutes to the gentlelady from the great state of New York, Nicole Malliotakis.
The gentlewoman from New York is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We've heard from my colleagues the reasons why the Representative Omar should be removed from this committee, but I feel like all the reasons have not just yet been stated, which is why I rise to add for the record. We've heard about the comments that were made regarding anti-Semitism and anti-Israeli views, but I rise to add to the record that as a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, I've sat there and heard the representative actually spew anti-American rhetoric as well. I've been in that committee room where the representative equates Israel and the United States to Hamas and the Taliban. Absolutely unacceptable for a member of that committee. I've also heard the representative equate that it is the United States' fault that there is turmoil in Venezuela. That is not because of the oppressive socialist and communism that has spread throughout Central and South America in Venezuela at the hands of the Maduro and Hugo Chavez regimes. That is unacceptable. And as a New York representative, to hear the representative belittle, to try to diminish the worst terrorist attack on United States soil on September 11, 2001, as some people did something, that is unacceptable as well. And I hold the same standard for this side of the aisle that I do the other. Because when another colleague on my side said something about 9/11, I also voted to have her removed from the Education Committee because I thought that was inappropriate. So I'm being consistent here, and I hope my colleagues will do the same to show that this is about consistency and accountability, because we should not have an individual with those views on the committee that is tasked with representing our country and our Congress to foreign nations. I yield back.
The gentlelady yields back.
What makes this entire moment so incredible isn't just that Representative Ilhan Omar was removed from the Foreign Affairs Committee. It's the reaction that followed. Because if you listened to Democrats during this debate, you would think Congress had just witnessed some unprecedented attack on democracy itself. The accusations started flying immediately. Racism, Islamophobia, white supremacy, targeting women of color, the same talking points over and over again. But here's the question Democrats never wanted to answer. Why was this vote happening in the first place? It wasn't because of Omar's race. It wasn't because of her religion. It wasn't because Republicans suddenly woke up one morning and decided to target her. This debate happened because of years of controversial statements that repeatedly sparked backlash from both Republicans and Democrats. Even members of her own party criticized some of her remarks in the past. In 2019, the House overwhelmingly voted to condemn anti-Semitism and other forms of bigotry after controversy surrounding Omar's comments about Israel and pro-Israel lobbying groups. That's the part Democrats conveniently leave out whenever they try to rewrite the story. Notice how during this debate, many of Omar's defenders spent more time talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene than they did defending Omar's actual comments. They kept bringing up Jewish space lasers and other Republican controversies because they knew discussing Omar's record directly was a losing argument. Instead of defending the statements themselves, they changed the subject. And that's because the facts are uncomfortable. Republicans argued that someone serving on the Foreign Affairs Committee should not be making comments that repeatedly create international controversy, especially when that committee deals directly with America's relationships around the world. That was the central argument behind the resolution that ultimately passed. Then came the emotional speeches. Omar framed herself as a voice for the oppressed and promised that removing her from the committee would only make her louder. Democrats portrayed the vote as an attack on human rights advocacy itself. But Americans watching this debate weren't asking whether Omar had the right to speak. Of course she does. Nobody removed her from Congress. Nobody silenced her. Nobody prevented her from giving speeches. Nobody prevented her from voting. Nobody prevented her from appearing on television. What happened is that a majority in the House decided she shouldn't sit on a specific committee. That's a very different thing. And that's where the Democratic outrage starts falling apart. Because Democrats themselves established this precedent years earlier when they voted to remove Republican members from committees over controversial behavior. Republicans openly argued that they were applying the same standard Democrats had already embraced. The most damaging moment of this entire debate came when Republicans started listing specific examples that Americans already remembered. Representative Nicole Maliotakis brought up Omar's past comments comparing actions of the United States and Israel to groups like Hamas and the Taliban. She brought up Omar's remarks on Venezuela. She brought up the infamous, "some people did something," reference regarding 9/11. Whether Omar's supporters think those remarks were misunderstood or not, the reality is that those comments created enormous controversy. Republicans weren't inventing a record. They were pointing to one. And that's why Democrats were so angry. Because this wasn't some random attack. It was a consequence of years of statements that had already generated national backlash. What's really interesting is how quickly the debate shifted away from foreign policy entirely. The Foreign Affairs Committee is supposed to be about America's role in the world. Instead, Democrats turned the entire discussion into identity politics. Suddenly, every criticism was racist. Every disagreement was Islamophobic. Every vote was white supremacy. At some point, those accusations stop carrying weight when they're used against literally everyone who disagrees. Americans have watched this pattern play out for years. Someone faces criticism. Instead of answering the criticism, they attack the motives of the critics. And that's exactly what happened here. The final vote ended up passing largely along party lines, officially removing Omar from the committee. But the bigger story wasn't the vote itself. The bigger story was the Democratic reaction. Because instead of acknowledging why so many Americans found Omar's comments troubling in the first place, party leaders chose to turn her into a martyr. They wanted the conversation to be about victimhood. Republicans wanted the conversation to be about accountability. And whether people agree with the decision or not, one thing became crystal clear during this debate. The moment anyone on the left faces consequences, the conversation instantly shifts from what was said to who is supposedly being targeted. That's exactly what happened here. And judging by the absolute meltdown on the House floor, Democrats knew this vote was exposing a double standard they didn't want voters paying attention to. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments. Was this accountability or was it political retaliation? I want to hear your take.